The time to join me today. We're going to talk about emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is so sexy. It's so sexy. And before I get into that, let me introduce myself. My name is Sitara, also known as Samantha Faye. I'm ranked top 5 female psychic medium in the United States by the American Federation of Psychics and Mediums. Emotional intelligence. Emotions lead to your feelings. And this is different than I feel hungry or I feel sad. This is feelings, the sensation of how you feel when you are standing next to somebody or when somebody walks into a room or you're offered a business deal or business contract and you have a feeling about it. It makes you feel a certain way. If you are disconnected from your emotions, meaning you are numbing, you are avoiding, you are hiding from, you are blocking, you're using your egoic defense mechanisms to not feel the way that you need to feel, to not feel the ways that are natural to you, the way that you are naturally feeling the sensations that are rising through and from you. So emotions lead to the clarity of those feelings. Those feelings are the closest subtleties of information you have to your intuitive knowing and intuitive understanding. When you connect clearly with your intuition and your intuitive understanding, it opens up the awareness of your innate psychic abilities, which will make you feel like you have accessed the cheat codes in life. This is why I'm super passionate about teaching these particular things and why we go into them. Because your emotions and your emotional intelligence is the absolute baseline of having healthy boundaries, healthy relationships, healthy communication patterns, to be able to get where you want to in life without manipulating, duping, or tricking other people, that you're able to be clear and confident with how it is that you are showing up in the world because you feel aligned. The alignment comes from your intuition, your head, your heart, and your gut, being in a very clear channel and a very clear line. So the access to your emotional intelligence, what we have to do here is we have to connect deeply with the egoic mind. Because inside the egoic mind is a store, an absolute back data, storage cabinet of any and all things that could have gone wrong in your life and or did go wrong and or were blatantly traumatic. Those files create these egoic defense mechanisms in the brain that activate, I don't know if activate's the right word to use here, but they bring out a particular kind of personality trait. That's where we get avoidant personality traits, emotional abuse, covert manipulation. The covert manipulation is we are manipulating people under the surface of our own awareness, of our own intentional awareness, but we are manipulating either ourselves, our own emotions, and or the people that we are connecting with. And the reason that we're doing that is because of an egoic defense mechanism that was created in a space of trauma. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, what the field of awareness that we're going into consciously is that you are choosing to step up for yourself to unravel these patterns that exist inside of you. If you've ever given the silent treatment, that is avoidant. If you've ever been passive aggressive, that is manipulative. If you've ever just been blatantly manipulative, all of these things are covert. Most of the time covert. Some people are conscious of their manipulation and conscious of their avoidant, and they just choose to do it anyway without doing the inner work and the deeper digging. So when we do that deeper digging and we access and we understand why we have certain behavior traits and certain behavior and personality traits that are created from our primary caregiving situation. So between the ages of 0 to 7 and 7 to 14, that's when these patterns are created, and then they are reinforced in adulthood. And they're reinforced because these are the lessons that our soul has signed up for and is creating for us to ascend in these particular categories of life expansion, of soul expansion, of conscious egoic expansion. I believe that we as a human species are evolving right now through this period of the Great Awakening, meaning there is more access to conscious energies, frequencies. I'm specifically talking about frequencies and vibrations that are here on this planet that have never been accessible to humankind in this way. This entire experience of quarantine and COVID has put a pause on this so that we have time to reflect. And for some people, it's been really, really hard and really damaging, horrible anxiety and nervous energy. And for some, we've been able to drop into ourselves, not meaning that it hasn't been challenging, but that we've been able to overcome and start to thrive. And the reason for this is that there is a conscious movement happening on this planet from a frequency standpoint. So when you open up and access your emotional intelligence and you tap into that feeling center, that internal feeling center, that is your clear antenna. This is like your multidimensional whiskers. Like you are feeling things and they're accurate. So it is so important to be able to trust those feelings. And the way you develop trust in those feelings is by trusting and developing a really deep sense of rigorous self-honesty. Absolutely rigorous self-honesty that brings you into such a state within yourself that you are able to clearly identify these traits within yourself so that you can neutralize them. Because when you neutralize these particular toxic traits, and we all have them, I don't care who you think you are, we all have them because we have all responded in an immature, egoic defense mechanism sort of way by means of survival to the environment that we were living in. And now, the scale of the toxicity obviously is quite wide, but we all have them to some degree. So when you tap into yourself and you develop that sense of rigorous self-honesty and you start to connect with your feeling center and you learn to trust your intuitive hits and act on your intuitive knowledge, your intuitive understanding that's coming through in a very, very clear way, again, you access the conscious understanding to your innate psychic abilities. Now, a lot of people have a lot of, the word psychic itself has a lot of stigma around it. I've been a practicing professional psychic for almost 10 years now. I've run the gamut of what is around this word. And I want to demystify it a little bit before we jump off here. So, the demystification of the word psychic. Psychic is a term that covers the umbrella of all innate psychic abilities. So, before the moment of conception, before sperm met egg and the physicality of your own soul's consciousness started to form in this particular incarnation, this particular physical emanation of yourself, you already existed. So in that space that you already existed before agreeing to come down and experience this human world and this human reality, you were in the form of your spirit awareness. Now when we come into this world, into this body, we forget. We have amnesia. But here's the thing, it's your mind that forgets. Your soul remembers. Your soul knows, and your soul lives inside of your heart. So emotions on this planet have been so controlled, and the dating world has been, holy moly, what is dating? What is the family unit anymore? What is college binge drinking, and how does that influence relational patterns? pornography industry, how does that influence relational patterns associated with heart connection? All of these things, our relationships are our greatest training ground. Our relationships is how we learn about ourselves, it's how we learn to communicate, it's how we develop emotional intelligence. This is why emotional intelligence is sexy. It is attractive. And it is attractive to people who have not yet developed the emotional intelligence within themselves, and it is attractive to people who have developed emotional intelligence within themselves because there's a freedom in it. And the freedom in the development of that emotional intelligence is broad and wide open in so many ways. It is beautiful. So this is why I'm passionate about teaching this. This is why I believe that developing a strong sense of emotional intelligence and emotional understanding is going to be able to shift the consciousness of our world, because we must first work with the mind to bring the mind into unison with the heart in unison with the intuition. And our intuition speaks to us in many, 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 many ways, but if we are not connected to our emotions, we are not going to hear it. And that is the first space that our societal programming encourages us to numb. And numb and numb and numb and numb and numb, to not feel. Think of the words that deeply feeling men or emotional men are called. It is trained in the subconscious of our societal programming for men to not emote, for men to not feel. Ouch. 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 And women, we have more permission to feel, but even then are shamed or apologize when we start crying in front of people. That crying is something we do alone. It's something that we have to do by ourselves in a dark room. I'm using this as an example of how we shame emotions. To connect with the emotions doesn't mean that you're going to be a crybaby and crying all over the place all the time, but to connect with and understand your emotions is an incredibly powerful superpower, because you will not be reactive. You will be able to pause, you'll be able to calm, you'll be able to find that inner peace before you respond to a circumstance and situation. So I'm creating this video to give you a foundational understanding as to why I am leading this next 8-week course. It's called Monad Academy 2 Emotional Intelligence. The thing about this course is that it is not me sitting here talking to you in video. It is a deep dive into the subconscious world and your own subconscious mind, where we are going to be clearing out the emotional grid and actually doing the work inside of your subconscious awareness. I will be holding your hand and leading you through the understanding and connection to your multi-dimensional self, so that you can understand where trapped emotions reside on a frequency level, so that you can connect with them. Remember, allow what needs to flow through, because you're developing a stronger sense of your own emotional capacity, so that whatever happened when you were at a more immature level of your egoic awareness, which meaning, like, let's say something happened when you were 7 years old, a traumatic event happened when you were 7 years old, you didn't have the emotional understanding that you had now. But I can promise you that if you have not gone and connected in with that section, that area of life, that there's parts of that area that are actually still influencing your behavior patterns and your traits and your ability to connect with other human beings. So when we go in there with the egoic awareness and the emotional integrity that you have now, and we go back into that space and work with it, understand the emotional grid patterning of how that has constructed all sorts of different patterns in your world and in your life. We go back and reconnect with that, move through, voila, voila. I make it sound easy because it is. So, right now, I have the first class, the full transmission, available on my Instagram. My Instagram is The Monad Society, at The Monad Society. It's in the description of all my recent videos. You can find it there. There's an intro. I'll even put the link, of course, in the intro or in the description of this video. Make it easy. But you can go in and you actually can sample the entire first transmission. So you can see what I'm talking about. It's on a blog post. I don't even ask for your email. I want you to experience this medicine. I want you to experience it. It's a particular type of sound healing using light language and a channeled transmission that will bring you into that space. I want you to know that you are safe, you are seen, you are held, you are loved, you are nourished, and you are nurtured in this space. And what I can promise you is that the work that you do in this 8-week course will change your life for the rest of your life, because once you learn how to do these techniques, the way that you relate and communicate will shift and change for the rest of your life. Not to mention, when you learn to develop a trust in your own intuition that is unshakable, just imagine how different your life would be. You make fewer mistakes, you pause, you recognize, you see what you're capable of, you know how to encourage other people, you know how to be there and be with other people. This is powerful medicine. So I'll leave the link to the transmission, and I'm also going to leave the link to the sign-up course. So even if you're not able to catch us live, let's say you watch this video in a month or so, you are able to access the recordings, and the recordings are extremely potent and powerful as well. All of the medicine is in there. So whether you can tune in with us live, which I do highly, 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 highly suggest and recommend. If you're watching this at a later date, you can still tune into the recordings. And if you are watching it at a later date, I do plan to continue to do more of these 8-week series courses with different themes, and I would love to have you come along with us. They're very affordable. I recognize that we are living in strange times, and I want you to be able to access these because it will balance your mental and emotional health in a way that you have not yet been able to experience. And that's my offering, that's my gift. So with that, my sweet friend, thank you for spending the time with me today. This was a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but thank you for spending the time with me today. Please do like this video, it makes a difference. Please do go and watch Quantum Cash Flow. It's a 21-day course here on YouTube that you can do. That brings you into the subconscious reprogramming around money. There's all sorts of goodies here on my channel, so please get to know me, stick around. Let's see what we can do and create here in this world together. And so as we go forth, may we integrate the healing and the lessons received with courage, self-love, and compassion. Our little chat here today is complete, and I do look forward to chatting with you again very soon. Ciao, ciao.